Hi guys, welcome back to my channel Lush Foliage. Today we are going to be talking about this absolutely beautiful flowering plant called as the Cranberry Hibiscus. Now of course even the foliage of this plant looks absolutely beautiful, kind of resembles a lot like the maple leaves, and there is another plant which of course I cannot grow in my location, which ideally has the green color. Looks quite similar to that plant, but this is Cranberry Hibiscus. I will also put up the picture of the flower, because as of now there is no flowering. I had recently purchased this plant, so there is no flowering on the plant. It's just getting a lot of new growth, and probably in a month or maybe 2 months there will be the flowers that will show up. But anyways, I will put up the image of a flower as a reference, because the flower looks absolutely stunning, just as much as the foliage on this plant tends to look like. Now let's talk about the light, because that is the most important part. They prefer minimum 6 hours of direct sunlight. Now if you're going to keep this plant in shade, or if you're going to keep this plant in indirect bright light, of course there won't be any flowering. Also this beautiful color on the leaves will start to fade, and it will start looking a little bit more on the dark green. So they're going to fade this beautiful burgundy color that they have on them. So you have to offer a good amount of direct sunlight, minimum for 6 hours. Talking about the soil mix, I have used a mix of coco peat, garden soil, sand to make the soil mix well draining. There is more of garden soil and a little bit of coco peat, basically more of the red garden soil that we have over here. The soil has to be well draining. I had just watered it, so you can see there's a little bit of water coming out from the pot. So whenever you see around 1 inch of the upper layer of soil is dry, go ahead and do a complete watering until the water starts passing through the drain hole. This plant is not drought tolerant. The moment you are going to underwater this plant, the leaves will start to bend. I forgot to water, so I just went ahead and water. That's why you can see the leaves are a little bit droopy. Ideally the leaves tend to stand like this. So right now it's a little bit droopy, plus it was a little warm during the afternoon, so probably it's looking a little bit droopy, but now that I have watered, it's going to be fine. Adding of the fertilizers can be done during the winters, because that's when this plant starts to flower more in the late season. In my location, probably by July, August, it will either solid or liquid, but I would always advise to go with organic liquid fertilizer. You can either go with seaweed liquid fertilizer, or you can use compost tea, the one that I tend to use. But if you're going with a solid fertilizer, compost, vermicompost is going to work out really well. Now talking about propagation, this plant can be propagated via stem, but I haven't tried it yet because I myself got a cutting. You can see probably one part of this was cut. But this is one strand that I received. So either with seeds or with a stem cutting, you can propagate this plant. Now another very important thing, as you might have noticed, I'm using a stick for support, because ideally these plants tend to grow vertically. They tend to grow really tall. So you would require some kind of support as and when it starts to grow, because you can see it's very, very windy, and this can easily snap the stem, because the stem is not very thick. It's a very thin stem, so you require a stick in order to give it support. Otherwise, like in my place, there is a lot of strong wind and it can easily break the stem. So I'm using a very thin stick to give it some support. So as you can see, it's quite windy, and it can easily, at times the stick also tends to bend a little bit because of that strong wind, but so far it's doing quite well. Now talking about pest issues, yes, this plant does get affected with mealybugs and aphids when they start to flower. So always do a routine check. The moment you see even one insect, take your neem oil spray and spray that affected area, so that you do not let it reach into an infestation, because once any plant reaches into an infestation of bugs, it becomes very difficult for the plant to recover. So always do a visual check. The moment you notice even one bug, try to get rid of it then and there. Do not wait for the last minute. Overall, it's quite easy plant to grow. It's more of a tropical plant, tends to give out these beautiful pink blooms. There are different varieties in this. There are 3 different varieties. I'm not very sure which one is mine. I'll try to put up the names of those 3 different varieties in Cranberry Hibiscus. It all depends upon the color of the leaves and the flowers as well. So I'll put up the names on the screen so you can get an idea. Probably you can just do a Google search later on. So overall it's a very easy beautiful plant. Even if there are no flowers, the foliage looks absolutely stunning. As you can see, very beautiful burgundy color. The underneath of the leaves also have this beautiful color, and it looks really stunning. It's more like a vertical growing plant. You would require some kind of support, and just give the basic care, balanced watering, a good amount of sunlight, and fertilizers in the plant will do quite well. Very low maintenance, not much requirement, not very fussy, and grow quite well. I had probably purchased this plant maybe a month or 2 months back, and now there has been a good amount of growth. It hardly had few leaves when I got it. I should have taken a picture, but nevertheless it's doing quite well. A lot of new growth. Maybe the lower stem might not get any more leaves. I think it's more on the upper portion, which also suggests that this plant can get top heavy, so it's always better to give it some support. So that's about it, guys. I hope that you liked this video. If you did, please hit the like button, and if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to it. Until then, take care, stay safe, and keep planting.